interesting discussion of topic as well as the
Students, very good afternoon. This is Sanjay.
So
Uh,
you see the today's discussion.
okay, so
Uh,
I welcome everyone for the class. So, a couple of instructions from today's class will be followed thoroughly, sincerely, and strictly. Yeah, thank you, guys. Coming to the announcement, first of all, I have sent a classroom invite, an invitation to all the students. Share my screen.
In order to do the task without relying on the single system, we try to connect these systems and we have to take a task, split it into a
Hope
set of
I'm
tasks,
audible,
and put it to the system, and we
I
have
have
to
shared my
make
screen,
a result
and
and give
I
it back.
guess
These systems are connected.
my screen was visible, right?
Second, if the systems are connected, each and every system will have individual processor.
Now,
And we know
is there
that
any
the
disturbance?
processor are the very important resource in the computer. In that perspective, if I have more than one processor,
Yes,
I have
yes.
to use the word is called sub-multi. What I have more than one processor, so it is called sub-multi
Hold a
processor.
second. I will make the necessary
So,
arrangement.
we have one
Yes.
processor in the distributed system. What multiprocessor can be called?
I'm back. Found some. I guess I have logged in. Correct. Yeah, I'm back. Hope there are no more disturbances now. Can you please confirm? Am I audible without any extra noise? Great. Okay. As someone highlighted, yes, two professors have been put in the same room, and we did try to take the class parallelly, which didn't work. Okay. So, coming to the announcement, I guess everyone got the invitation to join Classroom. I have sent a Google Classroom invitation. Okay, yeah. So basically, I just shared my screen. All 57 email IDs I have sent, and so 43 students have accepted the invitation. A few are yet to be. So those who haven't got the invitation in your inbox, check your spam. Probably there's a high chance that invitation might have been pushed to spam. Even if the invitation has not come in spam, then I have shared a link to both the CRs so that using that link can be joined to this classroom. Okay, so this is the first thing. I want everyone to be on this classroom platform. It took me a while to create one. Anyways, so going forward, all the assignments and all the assessments will be done in this platform, classroom platform. And with respect to the deadline, I am a bit more serious on that. I respect the deadline. If enough time is to be given, definitely I will give. If not, simple things, crisp deadlines and short deadlines, we'll stick to that. And yeah, one last announcement is students try to attend the class regularly. In case of anything out of the schedule, prior you inform me such that any assessment is done in the class can be waived off with the help of, I will definitely check with the HOD on this. So try to attend the class every day. There will be an quick assessments and assignments, short deadlines for after every two to three classes, or probably 4 to 5 classes, depending on the topics covered. Okay. So to summarize, classroom platform will stick to it for all the assignment assessment purpose. And the next thing is deadlines are very, I won't say strict, but we'll follow the deadline. We'll respect the deadline. And the third thing is try to attend every class. Okay, that's with the announcement. So yeah, I just shared my screen. So we'll continue with the class. Last week, with the help of the knowledge which we got through session, we tried to address Coensberg bridge problem, and we decided that still the knowledge is not good enough to solve the Coensberg problem. Yes, we can validate and say it is not possible. We couldn't able to prove it, right? That is because of circuits and not circuits, because of parallel edges and self loops. Because all the knowledge which we got was only in simple graph, not on the complex graph. So moving to the next concept in the graph theory introduction, we'll try to cover these topics in the coming days. But yeah, today Euler graph, Hamiltonian paths and circuits. Probably will touch the trees if the time permits, right? We'll see what is Euler graph. As mentioned in my previous classes, graph theory was came into existence way before that. 1736, before 1736, but however, people were not knowledgeable to solve the real world problems using graph theory. However, the Euler in 1736 solved the Coensberg bridge problem using graph theory concept by publishing a paper. So in the same paper, he has also solved more general problems. We'll see what are those. What is that more general with respect to the bridge problem. Uh, to code that in what type of graph G is it possible to find a closed walk running through every edge of a graph exactly once? So definitely Coensberg problem comes into the picture also here. So uh, Euler tried to ask question like what type of graph G is it possible to find a closed walk? We know what is closed walk, and to, uh, to answer this question, such a walk is now called a Euler line because Euler initiated this and he addressed this concept. So it's a closed walk, means starting and ending vertices are same, and a graph that consists of a Euler line is called a Euler graph. So formally, we'll define what is Euler line and Euler graph. If some closed walk in a graph contain all the edges of a graph, so the first constraint is the graph should have a closed walk. Closed walk is the first constraint, and second, it should cover all the edges of the graph. Then the walk is called a Euler line, and the respective graph is a Euler graph, right? So it's the same definition again. I have kept that in first few lines. So by its very definition, a walk is always connected. Uh, if we try to visualize, that it makes sense because uh, in a given graph, it should cover all the edges and it's a closed walk. So since the Euler line, which is a walk, contains all the edges of a graph and Euler graph is always connected. Yeah, again, we are sticking to the same concept. Euler graphs do not have any isolated vertices and are therefore connected. It's again a part of the concept of connected graphs. I have shown a couple of three examples, graphs A, B, and C. Okay, so I will try to showcase what is Euler line. If there is a Euler line, definitely Euler graph. So I will take the very simplest one. Simplest one is the first one. So I start with this vertex. So the only thing is it's a closed walk covering all edges, right? So this is the vertex. I go with this way, covered two edges. Again, I come back and I will come to this point. I covered five more edges. Okay. Again, from this coming back to same vertex point where I have started. So I have covered all the edges of uh, the moon representation, the upward moon representation, not the inward. So now from this point again I will start with this from here and will reach this point and back to the same point. Uh, hope you guys are following me. There are no technical glitches. Right? I need a quick confirmation. Yes, perfect. So again, I repeat, starting from here, it goes to the rightmost upper point, travels back to the leftmost upper point or vertex, and comes back to the same point where I have started. Now again from that point, I will go to the rightmost bottom vertex and comes back to the leftmost bottom vertex through the upper edge, comes back to the same point. It's a close walk. I have traversed all the edges exactly once, and this is a Euler line. So this Euler line means it's a Euler graph. So I want the students to check whether B is Euler graph or not. I want students to check graph or not. Students say yes sir, yes sir. Okay. Okay. So many yeses, you can see. Okay, great. So coming back to the graph C, is it a Euler line or it does has a Euler line, so it's a Euler graph? Let me show that again. Can start from any vertex, covering all the edges exactly once and coming back to the same vertex. Okay, I can see only one. Okay, now the messages started flowing. No sir, no sir. And why is that? What graph is that? Anyone knows what is the graph? We have seen this graph. Anyone remember? Exactly, Coinsberg bridge problem. So we are still there, right? Yeah. So the first two subgraph A and B are Euler's graph, but not the third one. So there is a one quick theorem. See, many theorems are there in this graph theory, especially. So many, rather than the properties or an uh, straightforward statement, definitely they are being proved in a possible, good possible way. So in my class, I will be covering few which I can, and few other than I will keep giving assignment or probably assessment. We'll stick to assignment rather than an assessment. Assessment is a quick check where, based on the existing knowledge, what will be the answer. Okay. So assignment also will be assessed definitely with a good enough time. So coming to the theorem, there's a statement saying that a given connected graph G is an Euler graph if and only if all the vertices of G are having even degree. Okay, so it's very difficult to. It's not very difficult, but yeah, it is difficult to visualize. But let's see the proof how it's been proved. Suppose that G is an Euler graph. So first of all, it is a given connected graph. There are no vertex without any edge, just without having any edges incident on the vertex. So it's a connected graph. So that's why I can quote that there are no vertex without incident any edges on that. So all the vertices are connected. So definitely there will be a degree 1. There is no degree 0 concept. So a given connected graph G is an Euler graph if and only if all the vertices of G are of even degree. All the vertices. Suppose that G is an Euler graph if therefore contains an Euler line which is a closed one. Okay. Just as assumption. Suppose okay, it is. So in tracing this walk, so we already assume that there is a Euler line. So tracing this walk, we observe that every time the walk meets a vertex, it goes through two new edges incident on the basically that any vertex uh, since we assume that there is a Euler line, any incident vertex. When I say incident vertex, it's intermediate vertices, not the starting and ending. Even we will come to that point also. So any intermediate vertex, there will be a path to enter and to exit. Means there are minimum two edges uh, to enter and exit. That's why the Euler line concept is coming into the picture. So we already assume that there is a Euler line. So entering and exiting. So definitely it's a even degree for that intermediate. And this is true not only for the intermediate vertices of the walk, but also the terminal vertex because we start and end at the same vertex. Even that vertex will have an exit, enter, and exit edge. So it will be E1 degree for all the given vertices. Not all the given vertices of G, but it is a Euler graph G, right? Euler graph. So I want students to cross check this graph. Is this a Euler graph? Does has a Euler line? Oh. Is there any disturbance now? Yes, I do understand there was, which was unavoidable. Okay, great. Yeah, currently I'm sitting in the entrance of the science block corridor. So just to save some time, I couldn't go to any of the second floor or probably first floor. Coming back to the point, so I want to know from students: is there any Euler line possible in this graph starts and ends with the same starts and ends with the same vertex, closed walk covering all the edges exactly once. Yes, sir. It's a Euler graph. So, okay. 213576. 213576. But the four edge is missed out, right? Isn't it? Should cover all the edges. That's the rule number 2, constraint of a Euler line. Okay. Now, yes, all the edges can be covered exactly once, but we can't finish that at the same vertex or same starting point. So considering starting with A, if I start A 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 are the edges I'm taking, starting with A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I covered all the edges, but I ended with B, right? So this is not a closed walk, it's a open walk. So such line is called unicursal line and unicursal graph. Any graph having a unicursal line is a unicursal graph. Right? So the initial vertex which I started was A and finished at B. Since both are not the same, definitely it's not a closed walk, it's an open walk. Such kind of graph, it covers all the edges exactly one. Such kind, it's a variation graph of Euler graph. It's called an open Euler line also. Open keyword because of open walk. Euler is a closed walk. Open Euler line or universal line. Okay. Now we discussed many things, many different kinds of walk path circuits, graph, and coming to the operations of graph. So as graph is a set of vertices and end edges, so all the mathematical, since it's a set based on mathematical property, we can apply set theoretical terminologies and operations on these sets, and we'll see few of the operations. The first three, union, intersection, and ring sum, are I guess familiar with the name itself. And decomposition, deletion, fusion definitely can assume something, but we'll see whether the assumption what we did or assumed is exactly the same or not. Okay. The union of two graphs G1 and G2. G1 is a set of vertices as the combination collection of set of vertices and collection of set of edges. And graph 2 similarly vertices to set and edges to set. I have drawn basically all these pictures. Okay, I'm not citing because I am taken from Narsim Dio textbook. So just to have that visualization effect so that the concepts will be marked clearly in the mind. So G1, G2 are the two graphs, and G1 union G2 is making an union operation where all the vertices will be added, okay, in the given set. That is what set of vertices from V1, set of vertices V2, they are added to make a set of vertices 3. V3 is the new vertices set resulting of graph G1 union G2. Similarly the edges, okay. So one main thing to highlight here is look simple, but yes, when we do an union, the vertex labeling and the edge labeling is very important. So vertex labeling should map 1:1. For example, uh, I can't map consider V1 from G1 to V2 G2. I mean that mapping V1 to V2. No, it is not. Or probably I will put in a better words. Graph 1 has 5 vertices, that is V1 to V5, and graph 2 also have, no, it's not also, it has 6 vertices, V1 to V6. Imagine instead of V1 to V6, the vertices are labeled from, say, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So the labelings are totally mismatched, and by union, it will be two disconnected components only, as the labels of vertex labels from graph 1 and vertex label from graph 2, they don't map with respect to labeling, so it will be disconnected graph. Clear? Hope I'm making sense here. Uh, so there is a degree. Let's say older one. Okay. Yes, fine. Perfect. So the labeling plays a major role, a key role in mapping. And so if we look the union operation, uh, V3 to V5, there is an edge. V3 to V5, there is no edge, but still the union takes an edge here. Similarly, V1 to V3, there is an edge called B, but V1 to V3, there is already an edge called G. So two edges are being made, B and G. So parallel edges, right? If instead of G, if it is again a B, then only one edge, right? That's how the union set works, right? Duplication not allowed, just a one single edge. But if the edge labels are different, then definitely it adds two edges, and it's a parallel edges B and G, right? Huh. Coming to the intersection, I did spend some time on union, but will not spend much time in intersection. It's as simple as that. Intersection by pictorial representation we can make out only if there is a edge from same vertex endpoints of graph 1 and edge from uh, similar edge from same vertex points of graph 2, then only that edge is considered. Like in the resultant graph, V1, V2 has A edge, right? Because both the edge A are identical in G1. I mean, are both the edges are identical when compared to from graph G1 and G2. So intersection, one interesting thing, the resultant intersection operation can make a graph disconnected, right? V5. There's a chance that can be made disconnected. Just an observation. Ring sum is like an XOR logic gate which we are aware of the operation, which means 1 1 and 0 0 indicates to 0 and 1 0 0 1 indicates to 1, right? I will repeat. XOR logic gate takes two input. Both the inputs are same, either 0 or 1. The output will be 0. the XOR logic gate, the inputs, both the inputs are different. Means one is by having a value 0 and the other one having a value 1. Vice versa, the output is 1. So in that context, this ring sum, similarly, if there is a edge like A edge in graph 1, there is a edge, similar edge A in graph 2. Both are identical, so the output it doesn't consider, it's 0. Okay. What else has been missed? Okay. G, B, E, F. Okay, that is the only thing is been missed because of presence, and rest all are been added. Okay, this is the ring sum operation. We'll go to the decomposition. As the name indicates, a graph G, a bigger graph, is getting decomposed into one or many, let's say, into two. So it is dividing or breaking down into a graph G is said to be have been decomposed into two subgraphs. So definitely those graphs are considered subgraphs G1 and G2. A simple fact check makes sense also. G1 union G2 will give back to the original G. G1 intersection G2 definitely will give a null graph. So now with these two properties, we can visualize more or understand more about decomposition. The next operation is deletion. So deletion can be of two levels. One is edge. Edge can be deleted from a graph, and even a vertex can be deleted from the graph. So uh, we'll see how deletion operation works. If a vi is a vertex in a graph G, then vi denotes a subgraph of G obtained by deleting vi from the G. So basically, there is a graph G, capital G. There is a bigger graph, which we saw till any graph, and there is a vertex in that graph. If we remove that a vertex, then the resultant graph is a subgraph, right? So deletion of a vertex always implies the deletion of all the edges incident on that vertex. Of course, it has to be, because the path leading to that particular vertex is no more, then there's no point of having that edge or path, right? So even the all the edges incident on that particular vertex is also be deleted. This is with respect to vertex deletion. However, deletion of an edge does not imply deletion of its end vertices. So when the edge is deleted, the vertex remains in the graph. So these are the two uh, uh, properties during the deletion, considering vertex set and edge set. A quick example have been shown, again taken from the textbook. So by seeing the picture, right, there are three graphs. The leftmost is a capital G. It has a vertex Vi and edge Ej, been labeled appropriately. So the second subgraph, where uh, the vertex Vi is being deleted. So the vertex itself is deleted. So all the edges incidenting on to vertex Vi are also being deleted. So by that, we got three disconnected components, right? Second subgraph has three disconnected components. And the third one is we deleted EJ edge. It's just a subgraph and it is still connected in this case. There's no necessary or we can't make any rule that by deleting edge it never make disconnected. It can make depending on the situation. The final one is fusion. Fusion is merging into or getting merged. So we'll see a pair of vertices AB in the given figure. There are two graphs, left side and left left side graph and right side graph. Graph A, graph B I will rather call. Graph A has 6 vertices and graph B got 5 vertices. So how? Why? Because the vertices AB are being merged, fused into one single vertex. So by this operation, if there is any edge, becomes a self loop in this case. So A to B, the edge 2 became a self loop here, and rest are all got merged appropriately. So any edge connecting to vertex A or vertex B, definitely it will get connected there also. Thus, fusion of two vertices does not alter the number of edges. Very important point. Edges are not being altered. However, reduction of vertices by one. I mean, one fusion operation with respect to a pair of vertices will reduce the vertex by one. Things are clear till now? Hope no problem. Yeah, great. Okay. Super. So we'll see more on Euler graph. So more some more properties, some more constant, like the way we started with graphs. We coming to the main concept of walk. In walk, we again some constraint became open walk, closed walk. Again on that path, circuit, right? So on Euler graph, we'll try to explore some more concepts. Arbitrarily traceable graph. It's a kind of Euler graph. Uh, Before going into the text, we'll see the right side picture. It has 5 vertices. This picture has a graph having 5 vertices: A, B, C, D, and E. Right. So if I want to find a Euler line, I will start with A. Right. So from A, I can go to either B or C. I have 2 options. If I take any option, definitely I will find a Euler line. Okay, again I will repeat. I am starting with A. I have 2 options to navigate, either B to vertex B or to vertex C. If I take any of the option, there is 100% I will get a Euler line. Okay, I took a option reaching to vertex B. Now from A to B. Now again from B I have only one option because I can't go back to A. Euler line has that constraint. Edge should be repeat only once. So from B, I can only go to C. So after reaching C, that is A, B, and C, now I have an option to go either A, either D, or E. So 3 options. By any chance, if I take A, I won't find a Euler line. That's a dead end. Correct. You got my point. So because we missed edges from C to D, C to E, and D to E. However, if I take the option of reaching to vertex D from C and back from D to E and E to C and back to A, that is A, B, C, D, E, C, A. This path will give us a Euler line. Similarly, if I start with B, I can find many Euler lines, but however, with the available possible options, if I take one particular options like coming to C and taking an option of A, I miss the Euler line. So that is we are unable to trace back to Euler line. So arbitrarily traceable graphs. We'll see what they are. Like we understood the problem here. We'll see in more detail. Consider coming to back to the picture again. Consider if I start with C always. Okay, from C. If I start with C instead of A or B, either I will go to B, D, E, A. 4 options I have. I will reach there. Then available options. If I take any of the available option, definitely I will find a Euler line. So starting from C is the only 100% probability of finding a Euler line by taking any of the available option. Correct. So such line with the constraint is called arbitrarily traceable graph. So you take any arbitrary path, there should be an Euler line. That's the overall concept of arbitrary traceable graph. Yeah, I guess the same thing has been conveyed here. Go to the few more example. So a graph A and B. So I want the students to figure out in the below given graphs which are the graphs are arbitrarily traceable graphs. So either A or B or both. So I will try to minimize, keep like this, and I expect answer from students. So the only constraint is starting in from any vertex should be able to find a Euler line without any constraints. Constraints is not the right word, but arbitrarily, if I choose any of the upcoming edge, I should find a Euler line. A is traceable. Only A, both A and B. Okay, both A and B. I guess I conveyed a wrong concept or in a wrong way because, okay. Yeah. Please, some more answers I need. Both. Okay, both. Oh, some summary. Okay. So imagine I start with this point. I have two options to come here and here, right? Similarly, if I come here, I have four options to go. I choose all these three, but I choose to go here. I come here. From here, I have only one option to go here. I didn't cover all the edges, right? In graph A itself, I was unable to trace a Euler line by taking arbitrary edges. So it's not a arbitrary traceable graph. A is not, right? Now they everyone say both A. So A, everyone convinced that. Okay. Let's see about the graph B, right? Graph B, I have only two vertex. So I will start with the upper vertex. I will try with the lower vertex also. The upper vertex have four edges. So I can take any of the edge to reach to vertex lower vertex. So by that, I think I can find a Euler line, arbitrary traceable graph it is. Sir, can you explain it again, the concept of arbitrary Euler graph? Okay, sure. So, so consider the graph in the figure, which is a Euler graph. Definitely there is a Euler line. So it's a Euler graph. Suppose that we start from vertex A, right? Vertex A. To find a Euler line, if I start with vertex A and trace the path A, B, C. So from vertex A, I go to A, B, and C. From C, now at C, we have the choice of going to either A or D or E. Three more vertex. So if we take the first choice, that is going to A, we would only trace the circuit ABCA, which is not a Euler line. we are stuck there. By arbitrarily word means randomly, like arbitrarily if we choose a edge, that is in this case from C to A, edge has been chosen. Of reaching to C from A, we couldn't able to cover other edges exactly once, right? So we missed the Euler line. However, if we start with C, the vertex C, if we start with vertex C, to take any edge arbitrarily, you will able to find a Euler line in that without any problem. So this graph, without any label, vertex label, it is not a arbitrarily traceable graph. But with the condition that only if I start with the C vertex, yes, it's an arbitrarily traceable graph from C. That's the figure at the end. The caption has been given that arbitrarily traceable graph only from C. Hope the concept is clear. Oh. So is arbitrary traceable graph has Euler lines as closed path? Of course. That's why. Please, please see the heading. Like it's under Euler graph concept only. Arbitrary traceable graph is an extra constraint of a Euler line. So, okay, let me convey in this way. There is a graph, okay, some random graph or probably dense graph. When I say dense graph, all the vertex are almost connected. It's a dense graph. So that graph, if there is a question being asked, find a Euler line. Yes, everyone will find one or the other. Need not be the exact one. Multiple Euler lines, right? Depending on the possibilities. Okay, Euler line is there, but arbitrarily, such Euler line graphs are called Euler graphs. So Euler graph, there is no extra constraint in Euler graph. But arbitrary traceable graph adds an extra condition along with the existing condition of Euler graph. Those existing condition is closed off one and edges should cover only once. But Euler graph never says that start from this point and choose any one, right? Choose any edge. When we choosing the edge to traverse exactly once, it never says choose this edge only or that edge only. There is no extra condition there. However, there are possibility at particular point the given dense graph after finding of Euler line, there are chances that at one particular point or vertex by taking arbitrarily edge we end up not finding a Euler line. We miss Euler line. Again, we have to start from different point or probably we have to go back. Like as I started with A, went to B, went to C. Now from C, I have arbitrarily I can choose going to A, D or E. Okay, if I go D, I get a Euler line. If I go to E, still I will get a Euler line. But if I choose A, I won't get a Euler line. So arbitrary traceable graph means at one given particular point, if all the options, if we take, it should result in a Euler line. As we only speak about Euler lines, means it's part of Euler graph. The concept is all about Euler line and Euler graph. That's why it's a more on Euler graph. This graph comes under Euler line. Okay, I've spent enough time on this. So I will go to the example, that last example. This example probably you might get an idea. This is B is a arbitrarily traceable graph because I will start with vertex, upper vertex. I have 4 options to go, means 4 edges are there. I can take any one. Arbitrarily any one, it doesn't matter, it doesn't affect my Euler line, or probably I won't miss the Euler line. Definitely I will get the Euler line. That's the whole point. So I will go this way and come here. And from here, I have again 3 options. I take randomly this and come back, this. Even I will start with this vertex. I can go anywhere, any I can choose any. It's not that I can go anywhere. Only I can go with the edge available. So if I choose any available edge, definitely I will find a Euler line in this. But here with constraint, I have to start with this only, I guess. Yeah. This point, if we start, then yes. But the question was just like the given graph. So I can't choose arbitrary vertex here. I'm not labeled vertices at all. So I can't choose arbitrary. If I choose a arbitrary vertex and arbitrary edge, and I should find a Euler line, but I am unable to find in this case. Okay, clear? Clear? Yes, no? 420 it is. Okay, we'll stick the medium of communication, English only. Hindi, not a appropriate one. Sorry for that. So you can read the textbook probably for more information. Uh, and I will stop here for the probably you guys have the next class, right? So from next, I thought of completing all these things today's class, but yeah, nevertheless, I can push that in the next class. Probably I will be at faster pace. And coming back to the point, students again, join to the classroom, the invitation which I have sent. Okay, join to the classroom. That is the on priority, right? Thank you.